Liberals comparing their great-great-grandparents from Sweden immigrating to America as somehow being equivalent to millions of Somalians entering America has got to be one of the worst takes I've ever seen. Let me tell you why. This guy on Twitter basically says his great-grandparents came from Sweden to Minnesota. They spoke Swedish language at home. They made lutefisk. They celebrated midsummer. They kept their accents for their entire lives. And literally nobody freaked out that they hadn't fully Americanized on day one. So why are people freaking out that Somalians in Minnesota keep their culture intact after decades of being in America? I'll tell you why. Because whether or not you want to admit it, not all cultures are equally compatible with a modern, liberal, Western society. Pretending they are is not just stupidity, it is dog-walking yourself into complete civilizational collapse. In 1900 Sweden, where little girls routinely pinned down, had their clitoris cut off with a razor blade, usually with no anesthesia, and then had themselves sewn shut, that way it could be broken open by their husband on the night of their marriage. Did that ever happen in those Swedish immigrant communities? Oh, is it zero? Did that happen 0 times? A 0%? Now, how about the Somalian community, just as a comparison? According to UNICEF, 98% of girls aged 5 to 11 undergo female genital mutilation. 98%. And some people say that it's actually 99.2%. That is virtually the entire population. That means every single Somalian woman, statistically speaking, walking around Minneapolis today had her genitals forcibly mutilated as a child because her culture demanded it. Technically, it's illegal to do in America. Do you think that they're respecting our laws? Go ahead and look it up for yourself. It's happening all over America, wherever these communities are. They're still doing it. We're not arguing about cooking gravlax or lutefisk versus goat meat stew as a cultural practice. We're literally talking about child genital mutilation of the most barbaric, inhumane, and insane kind, treated as a core cultural practice. Did Swedish immigrants form armed clans that shot each other and formed centuries-old blood feuds on American soil? Of course not. Do Somali gangs in the Twin Cities literally name their own gangs after the clans that they fought back home and continue those feuds here? Yes, it's in all the police reports. Look it up. And the argument going around all over social media today is that, well, look how well the Somalians have integrated over the past 30 years. They're doctors, they're nurses, they're Uber drivers, they're business owners. Notice what they're actually bragging about: economic integration. Of course they took jobs. This is America, not Mogadishu. My people, my culture created opportunities. Of course they're taking advantage of that. Nobody expected them to go back to subsistence farming or piracy on the Great Lakes. Taking advantage of economic opportunity is the easy part. The hard part, of course, the part that really actually matters, is cultural integration on the issues that clash with our most basic human values. And on that front, it has been a total disaster. Those same doctors and nurses that they are parading around right now as success stories, some of them are the ones getting arrested for performing female genital mutilation on little girls right here in the United States. And it keeps happening in Detroit, in Minnesota, in Virginia, all across the country, wherever these communities are, they keep getting busted for it. They bring the medical expertise from back home and set up shop, cutting children to pieces in basements and clinics. The corporate media doesn't like to mention that when they run their feel-good Somali success in Minnesota segments. They'll show you a hijabi nurse or a taxi driver who owns his own car now, and they'll call that integration. They will never show you the little girl screaming while her own community mutilates her so she can be marriageable. Integration is not egalitarian. Can I say that again for you? Integration is not egalitarian. It's not equal. Some cultures are next door to ours, and some are light years away. A Swede could step off the boat in the year 1900, keep his language, his holidays, and be a peaceful, productive American the very same afternoon. A culture, on the other hand, that still treats the genital mutilation of children as normal and organizes their societies around tribal warfare is going to need generations at least and ruthless selectivity to even approach compatibility. And look, there are really good exceptions. Ayaan Hirsi Ali is a gold standard Somalian. She fled Somalia, she rejected 90% of her entire barbaric part of her old culture, and became one of the fiercest defenders of Western liberty on earth. That's what real assimilation looks like. You keep the harmless traditions and you mercilessly cut out the evil ones and thank God every day that you're here instead of there. So no, nobody cared that your great-grandpa kept making lutefisk and speaking Swedish in 1900. Because nothing in Swedish culture circa 1900 was incompatible with being a good American. Stop telling me that I have to pretend that all immigrant cultures are interchangeable. They are not. People are not interchangeable cogs in a machine. Some fit like a glove, and some fit like a chainsaw to your little girl's genitals. Pretending otherwise is not compassion. It is worse than willful blindness. It is homicidal intent for the American way of life dressed up as empathy. That's the key difference. And as you're watching all the Somalian community leaders defend themselves so stridently right now from the evil things that Trump said, how many of them are actually saying, hey, look at all these great things that we've done to move away from those barbaric parts of our old culture? None. Zero. They're proud of it. They love it. They can't get enough of it. And they will never stop. Calling yourself a feminist or a liberal while you also support that culture is, what do you call it? What do you even call that? What clown world nonsense could you even describe that as? I don't think we have a word for that level of hypocrisy.